and then the algorithm would do it systematically for you. It would dollar cost average in as the price increased, and then it would dollar cost average out as the price decreased. So depending on how you set up those ratios, if it was just split even, or if you were entering in at higher denominations and exiting at lower denominations to gain the most maximum potential out of it. You know what I mean? Like you would kind of fine tune
Yeah,
it from there, but that's how
yeah.
you
So
do
it
that.
sounds like a lot of what I'm saying.
Issa's here now. Issa, you mentioned this Trump coin prior to it coming onto the market, did you not? Because I could have swore it was you that brought up the Trump coin and mentioned it.
I might have mentioned it, but I don't know if I brought it up like early like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did because this thing's fairly new. Like I think it was Friday evening.
Yeah. Yep, it
Fr-
popped like fucking something retarded. And I
Well,
guess
no, Friday evening is when it came out, and it's only so it's that new is my point, and I'm pretty sure
yeah.
you mentioned this maybe the day of or prior to. I can't recall.
Yeah, no, I was talking about it because I was like I was curious if I think it was in here. I was talking about where to like if I was curious if anyone was on it and if anyone had a wallet because I guess it was through the website or something you could get it and people were buying. I guess the big story is that people were using credit cards
Yeah,
to
that's what
buy
I heard.
crypto.
You could use
You know?
debit card directly through his website. Now I went to his
Yeah.
website, Donald J. Trump, and I didn't see anywhere on there. Like I
No.
went,
It's check it. It's TrumpMemeCoin.com or some shit.
well, the token is official Trump coin. So you're saying his website is something different from that, or the
There's
website to
another
purchase it.
website yeah, it's a website. I think it's like
Uh,
TrumpMemeCoin.com. It's like
well, there's
straight up
so
just like
there's different Trump meme coins that people are spinning off the whole hype of
that's
this.
just that's only one of them that I've seen that had like I mean and and I may be mistaken. And I'd watch out for scammers trying to fucking hiccup
So I'd
the
be
whatever.
careful.
But
Yeah.
like yeah, but the I would say like yeah, I mean I personally man, I'm like kind of think like you are, in the sense like I know I like I'm looking for utility, what's it, all that kind of crap. I
Well,
mean,
that
anything
that's
to
that's the thing,
the
dude.
time
So
to
when
make
you
money on that was over, I think, though.
no, it's not even close. So you had mentioned
You know,
it. You had
what's
mentioned
that?
it, and I chuckled because when you had brought it up, I'm like, because I'm strictly utility, right? Like I'm a firm believer that in the near future, all these meme coins are gonna cease to exist, and it's like
Right.
essentially crypto's gonna be
But you know what? You know
resolved.
what's dope?
Crypto's gonna be resolved down to maybe a handful,
Let's
if
not get
not
into
a
that
few
though. Let's
dozen.
not get. I
But
get
the
it. I get
point,
it. I
the
get it. I'm
point,
on.
the point I'm making is I didn't see any significance in what you were mentioning, and I'm kind of kicking myself because had I actually looked into it, dude, I could have profited off this immensely.
Oh, no doubt. I think all of us could. I freaking I was having a hard time figuring out where it was, and then I just felt like it just popped a little too. It just popped so hard, and I think what hopefully like I heard because the problem with this, from what I gather, is that it introduces the idea of like like what's it going to be valuable for? Because what's this money going to go towards? And also, what's interesting is Trump's holding 80% of the coin.
So you heard what he said, though, right? He said his plan essentially is to use crypto to pay off the national debt.
Yep. Well, actually, what I've heard floated around, I don't know why, but whatever, is that the idea that this would be, if you use the money, I guess, for some shit like this, for this resource or whatever, you can escape like the Hawk Tuah bullshit. But the trick is and what I've heard, or what would be cool if he did anyway. People have thrown the idea out, or one guy I was checking on is the idea that use the money for disaster relief in L.A. and North Carolina, and that would give this coin. And what I started thinking about was, remember, dude, it's all it's meme magic, right? Memeology. So it's like what's so wild with this is that this just alone by Trump having a crypto coin, like 10 million old people that are like, yeah, what? You had a crypto card. What the fuck is like? So many people, just like fucking all the psyops, just like everything. It's kind of funny. I've been
Are you
delving
going
on.
pro? Are you going pro crypto on us, Issa? Are you going?
Well,
Are you
no.
going
Well,
pro
no. You know
crypto?
what? I'll tell
Trump's
you what, man.
crypto.
Here's my thing. Okay,
I'm just
it's not.
playing.
It's not that I've been against pro crypto. My whole thing has been settling the national debt and how that's going to transpire in regards to the 70-year contracts. Blah blah blah.
Do it with
So
crypto.
well, no. What I think it is because
The
no.
debt's
Listen
fake. The
to me.
debt's
Like
fake.
I'll tell you
No,
what. I
no, there's
am.
no real debt. There's no real debt. It's
Let
fake.
me
It's
hold
just
on.
a
Let me put
fucking
it like this.
story.
Hold on, bro. Well, and that's what I'm trying to say is like, so there's no other logical conclusion to me about money other than you provided a birth certificate and they created the money so off of the back of that birth certificate. There is no other fucking logical explanation that anyone will ever give to me I don't think anyway that will supersede that concept as far as my idea about what money and its creation is really all about. But what I
But why
think
do they
is
need
that
that though?
hold.
Why do they need
Let
that?
me get into it. So, like, you got the Wizard of Oz world that we entered into, right? And this is really just another chapter in the Wizard of Oz extension of the line of debt, because ultimately it doesn't matter if people know that they're the priority security interest holder, and they're never going to fucking want to know or care to. So it's just an extension of the line of understanding, our understanding of money, into the Wizard of Oz to another step of digital fucking shit. That's how I've come to, and I've just come to accept it.
No, I hear you, but it seems like it already is. Like, what do they need a birth certificate for to print money? They
No,
don't
no,
need
no, no,
that.
no. That
Maybe
person,
back in
no,
the
because
day, not
I'll tell
now.
you why. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. They
They
need
don't
it
need
in
us. They
order
don't need our
to.
birth certificate at all for money. They print it like they want and they run the economy with it.
No, I don't. That's why they need general amnesty. That's why they need amnesty. That's why they had all the immigrants come in. That's why they're probably going to grant amnesty, even though Trump's going to deport a bunch of criminals. They're probably going
I
to
think
offer amnesty. There'll be a compensation in the middle. And the reason for that is the birth certificates entering into the system to create more money, which will then fuel the digital fucking world. And that's where they're going to put that money in. And that's where people are going to agree to that. And I'm just saying, like,
I
what's
think
interesting
Martin's
with
trying to get
crypto,
in.
though, the thing with crypto is like me and homeboy over here have been talking about is the utility, is the idea that you're never gonna have to know that XRP is being used internally in the bank. But it's interesting that more and more awareness is created about XRP or or crypto in general. The more it's going to establish a familiarity within the people to then further trust that they can extend the Wizard of Oz story out into the digital landscape. But there
I
is
don't
no
know.
rep. I mean,
You're
Gio, I'll
saying a
go to
lot,
war
but
on
not
it.
a lot.
I'll go. You know what I mean? I'll go to like battle on that one. That it does necessitate the fucking birth certificate. It's all about the birth certificate because it's the most ancient little precept, and it all is an ecclesiastical system. It has to have the birth certificate. It's assessed to KV Trust. It's a note that is the inheritance of the people before you. It's just I think how that goes. And it's all
All right.
fictional anyway, and they can just print. They still print money on the screen, like it doesn't matter. But they need to. The accounting requires the source, the guarantor, and that guarantor has to offer it up for the citizen. It's like by hook or by crook, they have to, or they have to do it by contract. Your understanding of the contract doesn't mean shit to them. That's why when everyone calls, like, "Oh, this is a fraud on the case," like, no, not really. But that's what I think crypto is, and it's just a matter of observing what it is and where it's going. That's what I think, and I think I do wonder if they won't extend the thing to make the ability of crypto to discharge the debt or make it appear to be discharged. Because they've talked about that, like the idea that you could settle the fucking. There's like talks of Trump trying to settle the fucking national debt, balance the books. That's crazy. This would be the first time in the history. That's why, to me, it all comports with like the quiet side of the history, like real history, and then you've got the public side of meme coins.
How often is that whole debt jubilee thing that Ryan talks about? It's like a periodic thing every so often. I forget how long, but
My understanding is that like in nations, when nations make agreements, it's like 3 terms of 70 years. You know, I don't know where I forget precisely where I get it, but everything I've looked into kind of matches up to that. and there is like a biblical reference to that extension of the 3 terms, like 7. You know, like it's like bankruptcy
What is
is like
that?
7 years.
Every
There's like
210 years or something? You're saying?
whatever that number would be.
Well, 70 times
21,
three.
210 years. Yeah, 210 years. Yep. But I think also too, you're not 70. You know, you're dealing from 1790.
So that's kind of coincidental that
Yes,
we'd be
qué
approaching that
fenomenal.
time period, right? Is when all
Hey,
this
dude,
is
and they
kind of
destroy right,
lining up
and
and
dude, they
stuff.
destroy the financial system, and then 20 years later, shut down the economy. And they hide it as like COVID, and hide it as like it's like, and the masses have to deal with that problem, so they never figure out that that's what the fucking thing's about. It's like the Great Depression happened at the same time they fucking created the Federal Reserve and implemented that.
Yeah. Well, either way,
But this time,
I mean, from my
this
perspective,
time we get Trump. I mean, the only scary part about it, and I was talking to my buddy about this before, dude. I remember reading an article. This is crazy, okay? You know the guy David Harris Jr. He does like fucking. He's kind of works like he's an advocate for Trump. You know what I mean in the news cycle and shit, right? Put out a fucking tweet or some
I
shit I
don't know
saw.
who that is.
That's all good. He's a good. He's a black dude. Kind of. He's like looks a little thick. Seems a little. Like, I don't know. He's kind of funny. I could bust his chops a little bit, but I like the guy. He's fucking awesome. He's reporting awesome shit. Anyway, he what is it? Posted up something about a kid. Something posted a repost of some dude that he trusts. It's funny how this will probably gain more traction in this room than anything else. But so he posted about this one guy posting that a kid in their church had a vision 2 weeks ago, or a dream, where Trump would be attacked in a hockey stadium. So just over the weekend, they decided that they're going to move the inauguration indoors, and it's going to be held at a hockey stadium. And it just triggered me thinking of like a 1990 something fucking article from Rolling Stone. So I'm so old, I used to have a subscription, and fucking it was about a fucking terrorist attack inside of a hockey arena, and how like it was, what would
Oh,
people
great.
do? It's fucking wild, and I just thought like, damn, it's a little weird that they'd have it there. I hope it all goes
So
through.
Why can't
if
why
something
can't
happens,
real
What's up?
quick?
go
Why
ahead,
can't we
Dustin.
just do it digitally, right? Like instead of being in like some public, theatrical arena, like why couldn't
Nah,
we just
it's
do it
the
digitally, dude? Like
nah,
just for safety precaution.
it's the regalia, and it's also the idea that that like it's kind of just like the top dog isn't gonna not walk down his own street. You know what I mean? No matter how many people are talking shit.
What were you gonna say, Gio?
Oh, I was gonna say if something did happen to him, like, is it just straight Kamala? Just goes right in there. Or
Oh
what's
God,
the?
could you imagine?
That'd be Vance.
Just
Well, he's
straight
not
Kabbalah.
inaugurated yet. It still goes to the VP.
I would imagine they'd have to swear in probably the VP, because he's the elected ones to take over, and on that date is the new administration's date. I'd imagine it would be a takeover like that. What's even crazier is if they took them all out. Something fucking crazy like that people don't even think about. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I
who
think
knows?
Trump is, as you know, I think Trump is the they. So there's not like a Trump versus any they. Trump is them.
Well, you
So
need to get some
They
popcorn and
them.
sit down and enjoy the
Oh,
fucking movie, dude.
movie sucks.
It's a lot
The
cooler.
Trump movie
It's a lot more,
blows,
dude.
bro. I'm so not into
It's a
it.
lot
Like,
more.
it's the
Shut the fuck
worst,
up.
dude.
I'm
That
sitting
guy
here
is
like, dude.
such an egotistical
Oh my
sociopath,
god, I love him.
psychopath. It's ridiculous. All right, yeah, you
No,
love him up. Dude, I love fish. You hate fish, or you don't like
yeah.
fish.
You need to go to. I tell you, yeah, you should go to Queen. Go to Queens sometime, where he's from. You fucking talk to people that are running around
Dude, I do
Queens.
everything I can to avoid listening to Trump's voice for 2 seconds. Like, he's so
What,
fake.
dude?
He's inauthentic, fake, ego inflated. I mean, he's a little entertaining. He's a little entertaining in his kind of
Well,
wackiness.
it is a movie. It
It's
is
the
a movie.
best
I
I can
happen
do,
to love
honestly.
them. I just, you know what it is? I just like that he hits him. I love the dude. He cracks me right up. Um, I don't know. It's like Trey from Fish bothers me. You know what I mean, bro? Like there's a little tick about it that's just. like, but like, I don't,
Yeah, but he is one of the best
I
guitar
still,
players to ever
hey
live.
man, hey, you know what though? If I was going to a concert and I wanted it to be good, I wouldn't be upset that Fish was playing, right?
Yeah,
Because
and
I'm
if I
going to the
went to a
concert.
Donald Trump rally,
So I'm going to the
I would have a
concert to
great
have a good,
time.
right? If I'm going to the concert to have a good time, I'm going to the concert and I want Fish in control. If we're talking politics and international fucking affairs in regards to business that would help the economy, I want Trump in control.
Well, you got
You know
two
what I mean,
rallies
Doc?
going on at once. Kamala
I
on
might
one
have,
side
I
and
might,
Trump on the other. Where are you going to go, Gio? You can't avoid it. There's not like you can avoid it. Are you going to go to the Kamala rally or the Trump rally?
Oh, the Trump one. I said he's more entertaining. Yeah, he's somewhat entertaining. I think he's a
I just
fake
think
human
also,
being on every level, but I mean, he's a complete actor. I mean, he's not real in anything he's doing, but I think he's still somewhat entertaining as like a character. Yeah, I'd rather
well, yeah,
listen to him than Kamala, but I
then how
make it a
about,
goal to never listen to presidents when they're presidents. So I probably heard a total of 15 minutes of Trump when COVID struck during his whole 4-year presidency. Like literally, no, I maybe listened to maybe an hour total. Like when the COVID thing happened and him and Fauci are up there doing their deal, the Nazi takeover fucking replay whole thing that rolled out then. They got all their buddies up there. So I did watch that for like 10, 15 minutes a day or whatever when it was first kind of striking, but that's the most I ever heard of Trump. And I make it a goal. I don't listen to any of the presidents.
well, yeah, let me
So
say this though, dude. When 9/11 happened, like the fucking day of, he was on the fucking news down in New York City, like on the news. People, you know what I mean, whatever, talking about. Yeah, it seems like there was bombs in the building. There's no fucking way them steel beams were getting fucking taken out by planes. There's no way. Da 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 da. Like he fucking railed on a whole bunch of shit. And the whole time was on Alex Jones in the fucking like, early fucking 2000s and shit like that, was railing about 9/11, like, was official and diplomatic, but at the same time, you should look into him, dude. He's a fucking interesting character. Like straight up just walk, dude. I don't know, man. He's fucking interesting, man. He like funded Jesse Jackson's fucking presidential campaign. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand why people like label him in such a way, you know what I mean? Cuz like there's evidence to suggest otherwise. And I just don't get I don't get the hate on the guy. I just don't get it.
I don't hate him. I don't have any hate for him. I
Well,
just
no,
think
but I mean, like
I
for
think
like,
he's an inauthentic human being that's not legitimate in
well,
what he's doing at all. It's like a fraud, basically.
I mean, I look at it. It's like you got to remember those. Like it is politics, and also that the thing is to me, I think um is intriguing about the whole. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's like to your point of being an actor and da 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 and all that. It's like what a great person for some kind of let's say like if there were a like 'cause I just can't get it out of my head that they shot our fucking president in the '60s and our just military sat around and did nothing about it.
Well, I don't think they did shoot him,
Yeah,
but
and well, no, whatever. Like I think fucking Jackie Kennedy leaned right in and blew his head off. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like a fucking Mossad op from fucking every which way, dude. I don't know if they killed him. I don't know if he's fucking Jimmy Carter, like some people fucking think, or whatever. But I just think like they shot the president, if that's legit, and then fucking somebody in the military fucking took notes, studied who the fuck it really was, found out, and did a 50-year plan, and this is what it looks like. That's what I kind of think too. And then how the poetic justice of having RFK on the fucking ticket. Are you kidding me? Fucking brilliant, dude. If it's legit and that's the case, and we really have problems because wars really happen. Economies and cities really do get bombed into rubble. If it's legit and there's really that kind of a dynamic at play internationally for the states and whatever, then I'd rather somebody pro-America in office than someone who's going to sell us the fuck down the river. You know, but I don't know. I just don't know if the people are. I think like America's been getting fucking fleeced, man, and and we really like I don't know. There's nobody else that's fucking even. I have hated politics ever since, except for when I saw what the fuck Trump was doing. And all the fucking people that we have hated for years, that we know that created fucking Al Qaeda, that we know the fucking whatever. I mean, it's Zbigniew Brzezinski's daughter to calling fucking Trump a fascist every day on TV, makes me like Trump. And even if I'm a victim to some fucking backward double Jew bluff because I fucking take one example seriously and look at it, I'm looking at the ramifications of it all. And it wasn't Trump. Like they were coming with the vaccine since the fucking '90s. Fucking Buju Banton been talking about how they're coming with the vaccine. Fucking Capleton was talking about they're coming with the vaccine. Everybody knew. Everybody that wasn't a sucker knew that there was a fucking government plan to come with some kind of vax to put some nanobots up in your shit. So anyone who took the shit was a fucking uneducated retard. It's not my problem, and I don't care what anyone thinks about that statement. So like, and fucking, but my point is that like, to say like, Trump came in and ushered that in, I can't say how. I just disagree with that wholeheartedly. It's
He
politics. It's
he literally
diplomacy.
did.
He got sure you could. I mean, hold up. They were coming anyway, right? Event 201 or Event 209 or whatever that shit is. They fucking they were planning it anyway. They were coming with it anyway, with the World Economic Forum money anyway. And he came, and the federal government, just for the record, has no fucking authority in the states. So anyone who had to take a fucking vax or whatever like that, like the New York guy telling everyone to go to Krispy Kreme to get a fucking free donut and take a vaccine. If anyone did that, it was the governors who actually had jurisdiction in the area. So if you think the president did it, you're fucking wrong, because he's only has limited fucking scope to the federal government, and the federal government is
Project
not your
Warp
state.
Speed was his thing though.
No, it was
Promoted it.
Fauci's thing with the
Yeah.
NIH. And if you're not familiar, Fauci was also part of the team with Dr. Gallo that created AIDS back in the 80s. This was something going on long before Trump got into politics. That's why it's so fascinating to have someone to
Yeah,
fucking
but
call him out eventually. And actually, dude, he was the one talking about ivermectin. He's the one who set them up for fucking what's going to be war crimes. Because the only way you can force a mandate is if there's no other alternative of medication. Well, he was the one talking about
it's
ivermectin,
the greatest
hydroxychloroquine, and all that,
vaccine
and getting called a
that
spook.
vaccine ever made.
Right. And well, I don't know. I mean, look, fair enough. And I think that was all diplomacy, because anyone with their head up their ass thought that was legit. And anyone who fucking didn't have
He
their head up their
convinced
ass
a lot
knew
of
they
dumb
weren't going to take
people
some
to
forced
take it
injection
though.
like some Nazis. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I just think that.
Yeah, but who was up on the stage? Like I said, when I watched that little bit of Trump and Fauci, who was up there? You just said the
Let me ask you
Nazis
a
and their
question.
vaccine. Who
Let
was
me ask you a
that?
question. Let me ask you a question. At that time, if Trump had come out against Fauci, do you think the media would have crucified him because he's not a fucking doctor? So do you think it would have been smart and the most diplomatic and kind of forced into the position of having to concede to the professionals for the sake of fucking diplomacy and everyone's
No,
normalcy?
he got
So he's
crucified
cucking the
about everything
psychopaths. Well,
anyway.
you could
No,
also
this is
say
what
he's
gives him
cucking
this
the
is what gives him the
psychopath.
right to come back now and
Oh,
fuck
man.
everybody up. It's brilliant, dude.
But you could also
This is
see
what
it that he's cucking the
So I take it
psychopaths
Gio's
to
not
give
a
people
Trump guy.
poisons.
I mean, I get the skepticism, you know what I mean? I can appreciate it. I'm just saying, like, in the bigger picture, this is how I see
I
it,
used
and I can't almost unsee it. It's like, come
Well,
on,
but put it
boys.
like this: if he starts saying anything against an actual quote unquote doctor, I mean, dude, that would have been the end of him.
He would have been fucking They would have fucking
Yeah.
25th amended him. I mean, people lost their jobs because they didn't want to take the vax. Imagine what they would have done to Trump.
Right, so he's
He
not
had
really
to
in
leave.
charge.
Yeah, well,
So he is just a puppet to Nazi vaccine psychos.
yeah. So
Well,
who
hold
cares
up.
about him being president?
This is the entrapment, man. They got caught up, dude. They're fucked for what they did. This is what gives Trump the right to come back and hem them all up. This is what they did, was war crime shit. It's beautiful.
If you ever
hem
see
them
me
all
on a
up,
stage
bro.
with Fauci, if you ever see me on a stage with Fauci, please discredit me for eternity. If you ever see me up on stage chilling with Fauci on any level.
Yeah, no, of course not. I mean, like,
Oh,
unless
well.
like, let's say he was like, no more bombs in Gaza, and you show up at the protest and he's there with you, and you're like, ah. But no, I'm just saying, like, fucking. I just mean in the sense of like, the Trump didn't have that. Like that, this shit was a long game, man. That's why I think. That's what I think. You
Yeah,
know?
like I don't
No.
think he had a
Do you think
choice.
Trump's
of
going to try to
not
stop
getting
any
on
of these
stage with
wars
Fauci.
going on?
I don't know, guys. We got to go one at a time. Try to be aware so we can. Go ahead, Elbow.
Sorry.
I said I don't think he had a choice of getting in stage with Fauci.
Right.
I mean, he was the head, man. So
My memory might
He's
be
the
skewed because
guy.
it's been such a long time.
Well, no,
But,
he's the guy that the
kinda
NIH
always-
gave him.
I was always under the impression that Trump hated Fauci. And who was that? Who was that guy? That lady that always wore the scarves. She was like a blonde lady, kind of like she looked like a
Pelosi?
grandma, but she looked very healthy. No. She was like this.
I know who you're
that
talking about. I
same
forget her
kind
name
of
though.
idea as Fauci. Yeah, I mean, she wasn't like she was in like the same position as Fauci, sort of, but she was more like MAGA friendly for whatever reason than Fauci was. Yeah, she always had like a pretty scarf, and she was a thin blonde, like 60-year-old woman, but she looked like she could have been like 49.
You talking
So
about? Are
she
you
looked
talking about?
healthy.
Are you talking about Dr. Deborah Burks?
Is
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
I think that is
maybe.
her.
Deborah
I'm trying
Burks.
to remember all the stuff from a
I never
million
thought she
years
looked
ago, and it's
healthy,
like,
but she was like the White House coronavirus respondent kind of coordinator during that time
I mean,
with
Burks,
Fauci
you
and Trump.
said?
Yeah, she was up on stage during that whole COVID thing. Yeah, it was like it would go to Dr. Burks, it would go back to Fauci, it would go back to Trump. Those three just giving it to the humanity right there. Jeez, that was a bad moment. Wow, that's dark. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, Issa. How could you even be in any way like honestly, it's so beyond me that you could like music is one thing. Like I'm really into Fish, you don't like Fish, that's one thing. But dude, Trump is a whole different thing in my viewpoint. It still just blows my mind. I mean, I get the idea of like kind of being like getting fun
Hold
with
on.
it because he is a
Hold on.
character and there is
Hold
stuff
on.
going on. Like
Oh wow.
Hold on.
She
Did
looks not.
Florida
I
have
just googled her. She looks nothing like I had her pictured in my mind's eye because it's been so long. Yeah, she's not healthy looking at. I must have been conflating her with somebody else. But yeah, I saw the pictures of her with the scarves. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah, she was like Dr. Fauci, but for like MAGA guys. Like I just remember for some reason she didn't get the absolute hate from Trump supporters as Fauci did for whatever reason. At least that's how I feel like I remember it. Oh boy, talk about a blast from the past, remembering all this crap. But sorry.
Yo, I just want to say real
um,
quick, Trump has called himself the father of the vaccine. He called himself that like in 2021.
I'm the
I
father of the
personally think
vaccine. I've had millions of vaccines. This vaccine is the greatest vaccine that's ever been made. Believe me, I know my vaccines. I can't
that's
do a
pretty
Trump for
good.
shit.
You have to realize, in my opinion, they needed a Republican president to be there to promote the vaccine so Republicans would
Right.
take it. If
If Clinton
Biden
won,
was president,
if Biden was president, Democrats wouldn't have taken the vaccine. They would have been like, oh, I don't trust this motherfucker. But I mean, yeah. So like
yeah, I
yeah.
like there's a
Remember,
sinister, like
hey, check
it's
it out.
really
Yo,
sinister what Trump's role actually was.
remember when Trump brought out the vaccine? Everyone was like, "I'm not taking a vaccine." See, that's just the hypocrisy. Every little step they showed the fucking hypocrisy of these people. When Trump wanted to bring out the vaccine, literally people go look it up. Videos of the people. I don't want to take Trump's vaccine. Da 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 da. Da. And then when it was like Fauci and like the rest of it is fucking and Biden was in office, they're doing fucking dances with needles on the fucking stage. And fucking Trump, for instance, he's like the difference is this is that also remember Florida didn't mandate it, right? I don't think they mandated it. Didn't mandate masks and shit. I don't think. You know what I mean? It was the governor that was in control. So all Trump did, and Trump said, "Yeah, I'm the father of vaccine." But yo, you ever heard about ivermectin? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe we shouldn't mandate it. It was the governors that mandated that shit, and that was the fucking trap. That was their crime against humanity. So anyone who took the vaccine, you were fucking
Dude, but
retarded
think about
anyway.
all the scared. Yeah, but think about all the scared Trump-loving grandmas that took the vaccine because Donald Trump said it's a safe vaccine, it's
Not
the
my
best
fault.
vaccine, it's the most vacciniest vaccine that's ever vaccinated.
Not my fault,
Yeah,
dude.
well, it came out of his
Should have
mouth, and
read a
then
book. Hey, yo.
right, but
Should have read a book
he
about it.
himself, sure, but
Yeah, no.
a
There's no excuse,
terrified
dude. Ignorance is
80-year-old
no
woman's not
excuse
going
for
to
the
go
law,
do
dog.
that.
Ignorance is no excuse for the law.
No, absolutely fair. I
Right. So it
agree
doesn't fucking matter.
100%.
So it doesn't matter. I don't care if you were. I like. When it gets down to the nuts and bolts of it, like morality aside, you know what I mean. It's not that I don't care for people and love people, but it's like in another sense, it's like, hey, nigga, this is war. I'm sorry you fucking thought that that was a good idea to fucking
Yeah,
inject
no,
some fucking like, you know what I mean? That's a fucking retarded move on your part. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't, you know, it's like it just is what it is, dog. And fucking, if anyone like took the
yeah.
shit, it's like, you know, there's this military plan going on. They fucking shot our president. They're a bunch of Nazis. They created the moon landing and the flat Earth movement to try to discredit the United States so they could throw the baby out with the bathwater. Except they didn't see us motherfuckers coming. Is how I really feel about it, bro. I really feel about us putting the flag on flat Earth shut down that whole burn the system bullshit these fucking losers were coming up with. This shit is war. It's fucking war. It's not fucking patty cake and like, you know, how come the black pope hasn't been arrested and how come everyone doesn't know that the earth is, you know, it's just shut the fuck up. Everyone's got to realize there's people out there want to kill this country and fucking take everything they've been working for and feed them fucking fentanyl. Wake the fuck up.
Oh, I think America deserves to die, honestly, and it really It
Yeah, and
sucks
that's
that
the
I've come to
mentality
that.
they want you to have. You're a sucker bitch for saying it, and I'm gonna say it to you because
No,
it's
America's a dump,
you're
dude.
following right along. Hold up, you're following right along with and against the one system, right? That says that you could be a flat earther and it's okay. You could fucking not take the vaccine and it's okay. You know how I know? Because I went to stores and they tried to make me take the vaccine and I had to fucking go in and show them what the law was about. Because regardless of who's in office, the constitutional protections and my understanding of them protect me from fucking ignorant fucking people. And that's what's beautiful about the system. And motherfuckers trying to kill the United States are trying to take away my fucking right to buck the system of 300 million fucking losers that want to tell me I got to do something. This system establishes the fucking individual's
America,
right against the masses, and fucking motherfuckers have died for it. And that's what it is, dude. And if people don't get that and like are gonna be
America.
soft about, well, there was
No, yeah,
slavery. There was slavery for eons, man. Fuck off, man.
there's
America's the
slavery
motherfucking
today.
shit. And I'm not exactly look at Liberia and fucking all I'm saying, dude, is that this shit is crazy. I mean, granted, you got the like, and I could get into it. Yeah, you're right. We've been tricked into slavery in some sense by being US citizens and all this because of the fucking 13th Amendment, right? And like I could go in and break it all down, but that system itself also cherishes my rights in ways that a lot of people
You
don't care enough to know about.
uh, see, you know what the problem
I'm
is with
on one right
America?
now,
That was
bro.
a
Forgive me.
really
I'm on one right now.
you're good,
Sorry,
man.
guys.
It was a very hard pill for me to swallow too. But I realized, bro, America is not the good guys like we were brainwashed to believe. We are absolutely the most evilest, fucked up country that's ever existed.
No, that's the point. Is that these bastards, since they fucking killed Kennedy, and look at before Kennedy's death, there was a thing called non-interventionism. Look at Smedley Butler, all these great American fucking people that were like, hey, like look at all the communist fucking films that they tried to like make the people aware of it. And then you had a side fucking group that created Walt Disney, NASA, and the rest of it, and the fucking income tax with Donald Duck, man. You know what I mean? And then like, so there was two sides to this coin. And like the problem was this 70-year line of contracts because they were beholden to those contracts. And now, this is the interesting part about it and why I'm so animated about it, is that if those contracts have dissolved and there is going to be discharge and forgiveness, then we really can garner ourselves again and make a good nation. But the problem is that these bastards who had that 70 contract, they don't want to give it up.
All right, can I?
Yep.
Let's just try to like maybe. Okay, let's try to slow it down and not clip each other and go one at a time. Because I want to ask you a question, Isa, and I want to just get my thought out, and then you can get yours out. And I want to interrupt and no one interrupt. All right. So I just want to ask, like, okay, first of all, do you think that the United States was taken over by some European whatever, reptilian? I mean, you don't have to go reptilian, but whatever the royalty in Europe is, do you think the United States was essentially taken over by them?
Well, no, I think I mean, potentially. I mean, if you're going to take, like, let's say the story of the founding fathers on face value to some extent, then what I think happened is that they lost the fucking Revolutionary War. They created an institution to put the debt on, and then they were kind of like it was kind of like a slick way of handling the loss, and they negotiated their way into a position where they could have mutual agreements with the other party. And I think therein lied the brilliance of the fact that they had this subtle ecclesiastical system that they were in support of that kind of rides along it is the really the foundation of our nation. And that premise in everyday courts of law potentially can be accessed. And so like that understanding gives any man the right, any thinking man, the ability to combat and or defend himself against accusation. And
Okay.
I think that was the premise of it. And the international affairs of law, they didn't want to destroy the country, they didn't whatever, so they took these agreements. And in order, it's like, for instance, like a
All
lot of
right.
people who think that, okay, go on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. If you want to, well, I guess, okay. If I can jump in, I just wanted to
It's more
basically.
complicated.
No, no, I hear
It's
you,
more
and we
com-
could go into that. If you want to do like a longer thing on it, I could just sit back and listen. But I guess I just real quick wanted to, because it is interesting, and I hear what you're saying with it. I guess I just kind of wanted to just ask this kind of the second part of it, because that was kind of the first part, and I just want to ask the second part, and then I'll listen. But I just basically, so I guess Like just as an example that happened in some of these communities we've been in for years. So just, and I'm not trying to go into the topic, I'm just saying briefly, like in my example here. So there was that 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server, the first one, the original one, and it had certain way it was run and certain admins and certain mods and whatever, right? And that was really the only server back then for years at the beginning and so on, and a lot of us were there and stuff. So I'm just saying that happened, right? At one point, and it was all kind of, it was a server, it was running, it was doing what it did, for better, for worse, and all the rest of it. But and nonetheless, I say all the rest of it now because you do, Issa. You notice I picked that up? I say all the rest of it. I say it like you, dude. That's yeah, man. I kind of do that with, I don't know, I kind of do sometimes pick up little things from people in a way.
I do. We all do, brother. We all do.
Yeah. But no, but yeah. So no, but I was just saying, so that server was a server. And then you remember that whole thing with that guy Human Sheeple, and he got ownership of the server because if the owner was not around for long enough time, you could like basically query Discord and be like, "Hey, like the owner's been gone, can you?" And then they basically look at the server and like whoever has access to the audit logs is how they do it, which means you're a moderator, but you have access to the audit logs. Is who can apply to get the ownership or whatever. So he had that because he was mod at the time, I guess, the Sheeple guy. Anyways, he ended up getting the server. And after he got ownership of the server, just one ownership changed. The entire server changed. I mean, it turned into a completely different thing. It exploded within minutes. That guy was he was really a monster in a lot of ways. I mean, if I told you guys the full stories of what went down, I mean, it was wild. Like, he was bringing all the ones that were mods, bringing them into the mod room and demanding that they bow down to him and call him, I'm not joking, the most flat. That's what he wanted to be called. He called himself the most flat. This is when he got ownership of the server. He was the most flat. And he made all the mods like literally verbally, say that they were going to bow down to him and call him the most flat. I mean, it was wild. And obviously mods were leaving and being banned. I mean, the whole server imploded within like days. Like it lost thousands of people. The whole thing was just totally changed. Like never the same. So I'm only bringing that up to say that you have like some of the stuff you're talking about with the structure of these things. I'm not doubting that that's in the history. It's in the books. It's in the everything going back to 1800s, 1700s. And what the United States was and it wasn't really called the United States or whatever, but I'm saying like, what was it back then? America, as it were, what was it? And all of that. But I guess what I'm saying is that if you consider that the people in Europe with all the money and gold and everything else, that they came to the United States, created the Federal Reserve, did everything that went down to now they have control over basically the whole world through the Federal Reserve and through the money system in America. So I don't think they could have done that unless they had total control, unless they had, just like Human Sheeple who took over ownership of the server or whatever, it was never the same again. So I don't think that they would be able to do that if they didn't have total control to do everything they've done. Now they had to create like Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, and you get the Knights of Columbus, Freemasonic group and stuff. A lot of interesting whole ways that all that has potentially gone down and like how they got control over it. But I guess I'm just saying if they got control, just like my analogy, the Human Sheeple guy, if they got control, of America and then essentially of the world, because after they got the Federal Reserve established, it was World War I, it was the Great Depression, World War II, and then bam, we're in the New World Order by World War II as a stabilized control structure to be able to move forward. So I guess I'm just saying, like from that perspective, that they took over. How relevant is all of this stuff you're saying when it comes to that? Because if they took over, they just do it their own. You know what I mean? Like how relevant was like the moderator, conduct rules or whatever you want to call that, when it comes to 24/7 after Sheeple took over. I mean, it was just like totally, it wasn't anything the same, it wasn't even the same at all. So I'm just saying, like, I know that there is a lot of these things you're saying. I guess my question is, how much is it like actually relevant in the current state that we're in terms of if they took over, they have ownership and they are then running things as it were. It's like someone gets CEO of a company, they can change the whole thing and do it their way.
Well, yeah, like
all the previous stuff becomes irrelevant.
Well, here's my thing, right? It's like take like the whole thing with Lincoln. It's kind of like how I've like the idea that he hold on one second. He right here. Good job. What do you call it? That like he tried to create his own money system. You know what I mean? And he had everything in play in order to try to do that. And then when he, whatever, and they came and shot him for it, right? JFK also tried to do the same thing. Create his own money off. He said, "Wait a minute, I don't need the fucking da-da-da." They were so like, "The fuck you don't." You know what I mean? And then, you had like, so it's like they have just monitored their contracts. But the problem, and they've had jurisdiction to do what they can do. It always reminds me of the Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Where like you ever seen that one where the one guy's one sec, the one guy's sitting in the room, or they're all in this one big like like a bar thing about to try to debate about who's going to be the whatever the fuck, and the one guy stands up at the table and he's like, fuck the rules, we'll do it this way, and fucking homeboy just shoots him right in the head, and fucking it's the guitar Keith Richards. And it fucking tunes in. He goes, because the guy says, "Fuck the code," and the guy says, "You know what I mean? We always follow the code." You know what I mean? Like, and so there's this concept of that there is a code, and the regardless of your understanding of giving your word to something, it's like one of the most severe things. You know what I mean? Is to like give your word. And these contracts are just so bound by like you can't violate certain contracts. And they have lost their jurisdiction over the United States. And that's why I think
But
they're
who's
trying
holding
to.
that? Who's? Oh, I hope you can still hear me. I'm switching my phone. But who's holding that up? Because like, here's the thing. Like in my example, like the human sheeple took over the server. Like there was no one. Whatever that server was doing, it was somewhat stable in a way. At least it was going along. But with sheeple, it was just not. It wasn't even. So meaning all the things were not. Nothing was held up. In
Well,
terms
hold
of
on, no,
how
no, no.
things
Well,
were done.
first off, somebody somewhere neglected their thing on the server, right? Somebody didn't pay attention to fucking log in and fucking take control of the server where it should have been taken care of. The point is that
Yes.
the U.S. doesn't have that problem. There's always someone on watch. You know what I mean? Like it's just you. The rules are like and I think what's crazy. This is why I'm so interested in it. At this point, is this literally the first time where we might actually fucking be have a politician that's going to come good on all this shit. I mean, not only that, but this is the first politician that's ever brought up these issues before. You know what I mean? Like if it was like when it's George Bush and John Kerry, like fuck voting. You know what I mean? Fuck that. You know what I mean? You get two dudes with the same fucking cloth, in my eyes or whatever. And I thought when I saw Trump talking about all the relevant shit that I fucking think is interesting, I know that he was quick to say that there was bombs in the building on 9/11. Like, respect. And he's talking about bringing trade home and not getting fleeced by foreign fucking countries and making them pay their own way. I mean, no politicians talk like
Can't
this,
that
bro.
be? But can't that be the wolf in sheep's clothing?
No, it totally could be. But this is why also too, like, I'm not reliant upon the federal government. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, it's like, still our constitutional protections, like, that's what keeps me positive about it all, because I don't give a fuck. I still got those. And until they do some crazy ass shit, we still got those. And so, like, all I'm saying is that with Trump, it's like it's the first time this shit's in the public sector. What was your question again? I got like fucking 10 things going on there.
Well, no, it's just the thing of like, if you're saying that Trump's doing some of these good things, or like you said, I was just saying, could it be the wolf in sheep's clothing, where they would have a guy to make it look like he's a good guy, look like he's fighting for the people and politics in general, but also maybe even in today's world to make it seem like he's more of a truther-ish guy, like he's saying fake news. I mean, before fake news was a thing and as a headline from him, that wasn't really necessarily. I mean, some said the news was fake or that, but it wasn't like a headline. Like, whereas more people's minds like fake news. Wait a minute, news is fake. Even though a lot of people already probably have some sense of that, but I'm just saying he did do that, and so it makes it look like, oh, he's like calling, because that's something I would say or you would say or whatever. Like, oh, the news is fake. In terms of a great majority of it, anyways. So I'm just saying, if they have a guy who's kind of, it would just make sense to them. Like, if you're an evil cabal of entities that are trying to do this stuff, you wouldn't want to just have, Biden's around. Like, you'd want to have somebody, who seems like they are more on the side of awarenesses of their deception,
Right, and
but do so in a very controlled, gate-kept way.
Well, it's funny, like when everybody was like, oh, he's like, or somebody was, I think I've said it here before, like, oh, he supports Israel, and I'm like, yeah, but he's gonna bring American jobs home, and da 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 da. At some point, it's just like, fuck it, shalom, you know, like I want American shit to be right. I don't give a fuck about fucking nowhere else right now. You know what I mean? And like, I don't think it's a wolf in sheep clothing. It depends what you think it's gonna get taken away from you. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see it as like I just see it as like
Well, it's just
you
it's
know,
not
it's like
necessarily something being taken away. It's something we'll never get. It's not that it's net. Well, stuff is taken
well,
away, but
right,
it's
but he's
not
not.
necessarily about this. More stuff we'll never get that we want. Basically, that
Well,
humans
no, if
want.
we can, well, hold on. I think, like, for instance, if they can clean up fucking crime, if they can clean up fucking, I mean, I don't know how they're going to come down on that. Like, and I get that any of this could be used for politics in fucking crazy ways. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like I said, I'm hopeful, and I've got no reason so far to suspect that there's fucking something else going on because it seems to be everything jiving in the right direction and all the proper points are getting met. I mean, you got fucking like what administration was going to get rid of fucking like yellow number 5? Like
No, I think there will
who's
be
taking? Hold on,
improvement.
hold on,
No,
hold on,
there
hold
will
on.
be.
Who's taking?
There
Hold on,
will
hold
be
on. I don't care if
improvement.
it's the hold on. I don't care if it's the fucking Illuminati. I don't care if it's the fucking evil fucking trolls that live in caves, fucking whatever, the mystics that run the earth and really are the Illuminati or whatever. If they're taking the fluoride out of the water, there's no vaccine mandates, no income tax. Fuck it, let it ride. I don't care about like figuring out
No,
like
I hear
whether
you.
it's the grand wizard up in whatever making the fucking decision. But if it's gonna bring fresh fucking food and good things to our people, then like I don't know what to say. Like, you know, and if there's no ill effect for it other than a bunch of pissed off liberals that are mad they didn't fucking kill him already, you know what I mean? Then so be it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not my it's like
Well,
it's not the house I live in every day. I don't live with this guy. You know what I mean? I'm just saying like I like his policies. I don't, you know.
I don't doubt that things could improve in certain ways, and we might even see some. Yeah, like there's that idea of like American cryptos would not be subject to income tax and stuff like this. So there are some interesting things that might happen, and maybe with some of the food stuff, like you said, banning yellow number 5, or maybe even fluoride because of this. But yeah, and that is good. I'm not saying it's not good because they, in a way, sort of like out of a movie, it's like they do have to listen to the people in some way. They if they
Did
just
you
go
see
against everyone, yeah.
did you see
So they have
in
to.
preparation in
So I think they
preparation
kind
for
of do
fuck
it on purpose, though. They do it on purpose. They do the Republican Democrat swing deal, and then that's linked in with these different issues so that they can kind of make it worse. And then if they make it a little worse, and then they make it a little better, people are like, "Oh, thank God, a little better. Yeah, fight for the truth." You know what I mean? Fight for it. Well, fight, or whatever. But it's not really good the way it should be. They're still doing their whole corrupt deal, but nonetheless, I think they want to, they have it go in cycles to make it seem, it also makes it seem more real, instead of just a total like dark blanket totalitarian kind of style. Well, they have that in like North Korea and whatnot. But I'm just saying, other than going that way with the whole world, they have to kind of appease humans in some way to keep them engaged and subscribing and, saying fight at Trump rallies.
Well, I mean, I just think like I don't know. You know, I just don't want vaccine mandates. I don't want fluoride in the water. The FDA just got rid of like red number 3, like without, or I forget which one they got. One of these red colors they got rid of out of the food dye already. Like, dude, they're about to get fucking their clocks cleaned, and they're gonna try to kill this dude at every fucking chance still because they're gonna take the route of we're not in control. Like it's who knows which way it'll go, man. I just think I think I'm down with the policies. I'm down with the pro America shit. The idea that he created a crypto coin and got everyone now like, what the fuck is crypto? You know what I mean? It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I see your concerns, but I'm
Well,
optimistic, and I don't have that opinion. Do you know what I mean, brother? I see the concerns, but I'm optimistic, and I just don't have that formed opinion yet. My intuition doesn't say that's how it's going. The only thing that scares me if they turn him into Hitler, and then they want to send in NATO. That's scary. That's scary as fuck.
Yeah.
And in that way, it's
Well,
like
I
they're just
mean,
willing to burn down. Think about it like this: like, imagine all the fucking houses that had P Diddy tapes that burned up. You know what I mean? Imagine the smart city that's fucking coming. Like, and imagine someone who's fucking gonna expose it all. I mean,
well, that's
I
the
don't know.
question. Is he really going to do that? Or, I mean,
Well, I
Trump
don't.
already was president for 4 years. He really didn't do much of anything to change the world.
Well, right? No, no, no,
We
no.
could
But that
debate
was.
that. I know you would say
Well,
there's things he did, but I'm saying
well, no, no, no,
overall.
no. I'm not gonna. Hell, let me say this: is that if he did, like, he didn't have the. Think about the sea change of the consciousness of America over the last 4 years. It was the best thing for Trump and his message, is because it exposed how lame they are and how they were destroying our country. And now, like, more people voted for Trump. This is the most popular vote. All the rest of it. And then everyone's like, well, who counts the votes? I don't fucking know. But the point is that most votes, a lot of people you talk to don't like Trump, but they like his policies more than Kamala. This had to be this way. It had to be like this because otherwise people would have been like, Dr. Fauci, come save us. Dr. Fauci, you know what I mean? And it'd be over, like, you know what I mean, tomorrow. You know, and like, and he's got a fucking reason to come after him. And they're all the right people to go after. How fucking cool.
Well, I guess I would say this too about the Trump thing. I was going to say this, which is that, like, okay, in my viewpoint with the world right now, like, I don't doubt there will be some positive changes that might even be associated with his presidency and this shift, because I think that would make sense that they would do that purposely after Biden and the kind of lull of Biden, to say the least, of all the COVID years. You know, let's, make America fight again. So they're going to like roll that out. And I think there probably will be some improvements and people are going to really get that much more hyped up. In terms of like, in that. But I don't know about any like huge things, but maybe some small little things. But I guess what I'm saying is that, like, so that is happening. But I guess what I was going to say basically is just, in my viewpoint, you have the Trump situation. There's kind of three main options, I guess. You could be against Trump and be really like negative and cynical and just hating and doing all that, which is just like bad energy on every level. You could be really into him and be really positive. If positive things happen and you're positive, that's not really a bad deal. I mean, there's positivity on both hands, even though I think that some of these things we're talking about are the specifics, though, like how authentic is it? Is he legitimate? What is actually behind it? Is he a legit character or not, basically, in terms of all of the different factors, and then the team he's involved in and whatever's going on with the control structure. But I know that that all is what it is. So I'm just saying, okay, so my main point was just to say that you could be against Trump and hate him. You could be really for him, into him. And then even if you were being deceived thinking, I'm not saying you, but just whoever, if someone was being deceived by thinking he's legit and he's not in some way, it's not necessarily even, I mean, that might be one's own personal refinement of just discernment of different things, I guess. And we're all on that journey all the time. I mean, you're doing it, I'm doing it, we're all doing it. And sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong, probably in some partial ways. So yeah, I mean, there's that part of it, but outside of that, like just in general, being pro or negative, and I guess you could be neutral on Trump too, I guess. But then there's the other side where like, which is more where I would be, where it's like, I'm not really negative or positive or neutral. Well, I guess you could maybe call me neutral. I just would rather focus my excitement or passion on other things, I guess, that don't depend on like presidents that are way beyond my control and a whole kind of charade of like TV and, almost like the whole kind of Hollywood style of it. But yeah, so I guess I'm just saying that third option is sort of to just focus one's positivity on something that isn't Trump, because we all have like only so much focus we can focus. So I guess it's like either go negative to Trump, focus your energy on that part, at least when it comes to him and all that. So that's that net result. You could be positive for him, in that way, or you could be positive about something else, that isn't him or whatever. So I guess it's just like how we divide our mind, our time, our kind of consciousness, what we think about, so I guess, yeah, that's the thing. Maybe that's where you and I differ. I'm more on the neutral side of Trump, and I really don't want to listen to him much at all. I don't really care what he's doing. I'm not into the show in that way. So that's kind of where I stand. And then I'm more like, I'm sort of neutral, not really even wanting to hear him much or even be involved in that part of it. And then I'd rather focus my energies into things that I think I can actually immediately assist in my ways, in everything I can do, of either learning more, gleaning more, etc. And if the Trump things happen, which is I can't control it anyways, so whether I follow it or not, if they change taxes or they change something, okay, that's going to affect me anyways, So either way, it's going to affect us both.
Exactly what I was saying, since basically what I wanted to do, an independent next time into the race and finance them properly so that they actually had a shot at winning, because the ones that you normally get to pick as far as your candidates go are the ones that basically the higher ups want in the first place. They're not there to say, Trump is not there to make America great again. He'll do everything possible to keep the war in the Ukraine going because that's what pays the money. There is a different way to go before they announce World War III, and that's the one where basically the governments gave you a whole bunch of money and then hit it on you, and basically go that way. But nobody wants to look at that option because it sounds when someone tells you the truth, it sounds beyond crazy, and then nobody looks.
Well, yeah.
But
What makes you think he's going to send anything or help Ukraine and keep that going?
because that's where the money is. The money is
Yeah, but
basically
he was.
if there's no war, then basically the entire war committee goes bonkers. There
No, but
has to
that's
be
the
a
point. That's the point of Trump, though, is to come in and get rid of these fuckers that have been bringing into these fucking wars for no fucking reason and get our money through fucking tariffs on trade that we've been getting fleeced off because the same bastards who run the war machine, run the corporate machine, have been putting all kinds of shit in your food and or our food. You Canada don't even get it. Fucking, but like, so that's the point is that this is the antithesis to that dilemma and problem that a lot of conspiracy heads have been talking about for years. I'm hopeful that those bastards that you're referring to are going to get routed out. My evidence for that, in hopes of that, is that Trump is the one that exposed Burisma and Hunter Biden and their connections with establishing this fucking Ukraine war and fucking sending money back and forth. And then Biden just happened to send them $6 billion while LA was on fire. So, like, the point is that the antithesis to all the problems you just mentioned is Trump, at least on the surface. Do you know what I mean, brother? You could come back and say, well, he's just, it's a triple Jew bluff and you don't understand. But I just think I don't think that's going to be what's happening.
there's a different way. If you have a minute, which would make it a little bit easier, I made a video for dummies, and the only thing that which basically explains how the government hid a whole bunch of money. Go get your money and then figure out what you want to do with it. Maybe tell your next door neighbor go get their money because it's absolutely free. The only thing that's different about the website that I'm trying to explain in the video is that you now have to ask them for them to let you in because they really hate newbies. But my video is on Rumble. It's Party Poet 66. Just type that in to Rumble, and there only one video pops up, which basically explains how when you're born, the government gives you a whole bunch of money. Then they would rather not tell you about it. And when you die, they get to take the money because you never spent a dime. But like everybody knows that every country by now has gone bankrupt. And when a country goes bankrupt, they officially make a deal with their citizens that the country will buy whatever their citizens want without having to spend any money because it's worthless. The money that we all use now is called the fiat currency, and the F stands for fantasy to begin with. So the money is just conjured up, and the government is supposed to buy you whatever you want according to the deal they made when they went bankrupt. And the US especially has gone bankrupt a couple of times over. Uh, but basically, the website is a little hard to understand. So I just basically made a video that says, here's all the laws you want to look at. And if you live in the US, it's already made for you because there's no translations. In the rest of the countries, you have to translate it to make it work in the country that you're trying to do this in. But they work in every country. Just that all of the programs that are available for this started out in the US, so they're basically geared for the US citizens. So if you live in the US, basically you could make your credit cards that you now have free within a couple of months, and you can buy yourself a house of your choosing within 6 months and a car of your choosing within 6 months.
Well, I'll tell you, how about
That
this? Check it out. If you have all that information, etc., right? Is it
right.
easier to try to explain that to fucking 300 million people? Or is it easier just to put Donald Trump in office and fucking execute some good policies?
Trump is not going to execute any good policy.
Well, okay, well then good luck teaching 300 million what you fucking talking about.
He's not there. You cannot get into office the way things work now if you're not for the elites to begin with. You know what I'm saying as far as that goes. So if you're not there to help the big businesses out, they're not going to put you in office to begin with. The whole concept of getting a president into office is insane because you have to spend $200 million to get a guy into office for the next 4 years where he'll make 300 grand a year. So it's not about them getting their money back that way. Clearly it's about helping out all the big businesses so that those big businesses can make way more than $200 million that they spent on putting you in there. Plus, they'll pay the president another couple of $100 million to keep everything hush hush and quiet. Like Joe Biden said, I got Big Daddy in the house now. What do you want to ask at 100 grand a question? Keep my crack habit going. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm more invested, or not like invested in it. I'm just, like I said, I got popcorn. I am familiar with the idea that it's all of a show, but I just, it's like
You're,
that's what the masses require. Also, like it's like it's like I don't need Trump to be like and the Earth is flat. You know what I mean? I don't need that. What I need is fucking some industry that comes home, like strength at the border so we stop fentanyl coming in, like a real I just don't. I know you guys think like Trump is just another brick in the wall. I just think that there is something more to it. I think even if he is a brick in the wall, then like even the Illuminati's got to clean house and bring everything together and make peace. I don't know, but I feel like it's where we're headed.
it would be nice if this place got cleaned up, but in the end, would you like to put some money in your pocket? Would you like to live in a better house, better car? Would you like that?
I'd like Canada to be the 51st state of the USA. That'd be cool.
yeah.
Fucking you guys come into the fold. Get Greenland going. Get the Panama
That
Canal back. I'm fucking here for this, man. This is fucking awesome.
that would be nice. That'll never happen, but it would be nice.
Oh
That'd be,
yeah, but I'm gonna fucking destroy. I'm not gonna get into it.
no, I would love if the world went back to the way it was when I was growing up. It's not going to happen anymore. That world is gone. It's now you just have to create a brand new world with as
No,
many
see, this is what
ethics
I
as
think.
you
Like,
can get.
this is what I think the core tenets of what the Constitution is, though, is what like is everyone's like we need to get rid of everything and start again and And it reminds me, like, have you ever seen this video? There's like it's like a Chinese dude talking to an African dude, and they're in this village, like this hut. And he's like, the Chinese guy is roasting the black guy. He's like, you didn't keep anything that fucking the people, like the white man left you. You didn't keep any evidence. Like, it's a weird video, but it's like this Chinese guy who's like roasting this, you know, I don't know if I don't know. He's just a person in the country. I forget what country, but he was telling him, he's like, you guys destroyed the rail system that they left you. You destroyed all this. You got rid of all the things that work because you were going to build a new. He's like, you didn't learn anything from them. You know what I mean? He's like, and it's just this interesting little roasting that this Chinese guy is doing on this African dude, and it's
The
just
real
uh,
Do you know
a
the
wild
joke?
point.
The
My
joke
point being is
is,
this: that we have a great system. We have a great. If we cut off the fat, the system we have is awesome. We just don't understand it.
yeah, I agree with you if you cut the fat out. But did you know that after you said all that, every state has tunneling laws that say you cannot dig 3 feet past your foundation because if you look up mud floods, you'll find out that there's a whole city buried underneath where you live now. So as you're saying all that stuff, remember that underneath you, there's a whole city that they don't want to tell you about that they buried right in front of your eyes. And then said if you dig 3 feet past your foundation, they're allowed to confiscate your house. That's the way the laws work now. You're never going to go looking anymore. Pretty weird. I was talking to myself. Okay. Clearly this is...
Hey, yo, so did Jaron go back to the ball like entirely, or is he just, or I don't know? I was kind of listening to something that was being posted. He was going in on like Shane St. Pierre's model and shit,
I
and
think he's
calling everything
I
bunk. I'm
think
curious. Yeah.
I think
I mean, I
he's
don't
the
give a
kind
shit.
of he's the person who's saying that it's a ball that's flat. It 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 maybe it's a bigger ball than what they're telling us, is according to him. That's what Jaron said. According to
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting with the sun, man. I gotta say. You know, it's crazy. I was talking to a bunch of ballers, and I was like, no, we was talking to Alan somewhere, maybe in here even. And I was just saying, like, you know, if the ballers gave up the boats going over the curve of the earth kind of thing, it would have killed flat Earth in 2015. You know what I mean? Because it was always the boats going over the curve, and the fact that you could zoom in on them. Like,
Yeah,
you know, just put the whole thing about flat Earth on the table. You know what I mean? Of like, wait a minute, what the
yeah,
fuck
but
is going on here?
McToon invented refraction. He even had the cool refraction calculator that will tell you the refraction in your area. So basically, boats going over the curve was killed with refraction. And the fact that lasers that do not bend because of refraction. So they have a way of keeping their model alive for those that desperately want it.
No, I always loved what my boy Cathexis used to say. You know, that there is a lot of evidence to suggest that the Earth could be a sphere. You know, but it presents itself as flat and motionless, with the sun, the moon, and the stars going overhead. And I just always thought that was so the best way you could put it. You know, it's so interesting, like to try to rely on like, you know,
I
I
still
don't know, it's
think
just
I think they were inside a movie studio and he fell for the con. I don't think he honestly was paid to walk into a movie studio. I think they made a movie studio that was really cool to fool his ass. I think.
well, that's a wild one. I don't know.
Well, you see, here's the thing. I've been asking him to put magnets will stick to you after what they've gone through for a while. And if you could get him to stick a magnet on his shoulder, and basically it's like he's running away from this one, no matter what you say. Go put a magnet on your shoulder. I even wanted to offer him money, but now there's no way to even fucking talk to him. He's
I've
completely
never heard
embarrassed.
about I've never
Well,
heard about
you
being able to put a magnet on yourself. What is this?
well, basically he was inside an environment that was completely that had a lot of magnets in it, because what I think they did is they created a ball that would be bright, and the way to do that is you hit it with you hit, let's say, a metallic object with some sort of microwave, and it will immediately turn as bright as the sun. The only way you can hold that kind of object and make it float around is with magnets, because there's nothing that can hold it, because it's literally as hot as the sun. So while they were inside that little, I guess, makeshift TV studio, which could be fucking huge. I mean, if I had $80 million a day, I could build you a huge fucking TV studio. So basically, inside that mountain, they probably had the all the tech they needed to keep the ball going round and round with magnets. They hijack everyone's equipment because what nobody knows is that nobody owns the internet. And technically, if something of use is on the internet, you no longer own it. You do not own any of the data in your computer. You don't own the data in your phone. They're legally allowed to hijack your equipment without telling you because technically, the elites own it to begin with. So if they wanted to show Jaron whatever the fuck they wanted to on his telephone or on the screen, is up to them. And they're not breaking any laws because the way they got the system wired up now is even if you proved that a three-letter agency was listening into you via your phone or whatever other microphones you may have in your house, let's say in your security system or your blender, your toaster nowadays has a microphone in it. Uh, there's a lot of shit in your house which you'd be very surprised has a microphone in it, and it does. And most of it is hooked up to the internet, and it downloads everything that microphone recorded, whether it was useful or not, into the big data computer. And if they wanted to, they could listen in if they were interested in what your toaster had to talk about or what you were talking about near your toaster, if it was important enough to them. But basically, even if you prove that they were listening to you, they walk into court going, you don't own that equipment to begin with, so what do you care? Because they gave you a user's guide, not an owner's manual. They told you right up front, you don't own it. Something to think about as far as that goes. But I think Jaron was inside. I think Jaron got conned into going into a movie studio. If you could get him to put a magnet on his shoulder, it would stick, and maybe after that he'll call me. Me and him are having a hard time on this one. He thinks, well, I don't know what he thinks nowadays. He's saying it's a ball.
So anything cool happening, or is it just dead in here today? I know there was conversations earlier, but I was away for a while.